Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm making lemon bars. They are delicious, they are creamy. As you can see there, they are very lemony. You can tell just from the color of the filling. And they are dusted with some confectioner's sugar, which makes them even more delectable. I think they are a great dessert for 4th of July, for summer. They are very citrusy and it's one of the best things that you can make. So I'm going to start very easily first by making the crust. And then the first thing you do is that you get your baking pan ready. So I am just spraying an 8x8 or 9x9 baking pan with cooking spray. And you can also, just make sure you do it well. And you can also use parchment paper. I just usually don't bother to do that. So now I'm adding 1 stick of butter to a bowl, and I'm going to be making a shortbread cookie crust, which means that it's really buttery and delicious. It's very sweet. It's easy to make. You don't have to roll it out or anything like that. It's not like a regular pie crust. It's a cookie crust. So you just press this into the baking pan. It's super easy. And then I'm also adding 1/4 cup of sugar. So this is half the recipe. This tends to be a recipe for a 9x13 baking dish, but I make it in a smaller one because we are a smaller family, but this can be easily doubled. So the amount that I'm making today is for 6 bars. They're large bars, but they can be either 6 or 12 depending on the size and how hungry your guests are. So as you can see, I'm just mixing this in with handheld mixer. You can do this by hand with just a spoon. It just takes a little bit longer, or you can do this in a stand mixer as well. And now I'm adding some flour. This is 1 cup of flour, and this is going to be the shortbread part of it with the butter. And then about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You want this to be well seasoned. And sometimes people think that it's a little strange to put salt in a sweet recipe, but it's the salt that gives the seasoning that you really need. And then there is some contrast. It's not all sweet. It's not one note. You want your baking to be delicious, so you want there to be contrast. So I'm just mixing in the flour, making sure that I don't get it all over myself. So I'm trying pretty hard there not to do that. And I'm going to show you how it looks. It looks crumbly, and then it sticks together if you squeeze it like I'm doing there. So that's how you know that it's ready. So I'm going to get the baking pan and just press this into the bottom. It's easy to do. I try to leave about a 1/2 inch border all around so that it comes up the sides of the filling a little bit. But this is pretty self-explanatory here what I'm doing. I'm just pressing it down and putting some pressure on it with my fingers. It's easy. It's fast to do. This just goes into a 350-degree oven preheated for about 12 to 15 minutes. And you want it to be just lightly browned. You don't want this to, get dark. So that will allow the cookie dough to get baked and to not get any color. So that's important. But, it's pretty hard to mess this up. If you're not used to baking, this is a great recipe to do because the ratios are correct. So that's what it looks like. You can see that there's a little bit of a border around it. Now I'm putting it in the oven, and 350-degree oven for about, like I said, 12 to 15 minutes. And then that's what it looks like. It just has a little bit of browning around the edges, and that's all the color that you want. So this is going to cool for a few minutes. Leave the oven on at 350 because then you can start making the filling. And I'm starting by zesting the lemons. So this is pretty easy to do as long as you remember to keep turning the lemon as you're zesting it, because if you go too much on one side of the lemon or on one spot, you're going to get the white pith. That's what it's called, pith, pith. So it's pretty bitter. So that's why you can see that I keep turning the lemon, and then wrapping the zester on the cutting board there to get what gets stuck to it. And then it falls down onto the cutting board, and you can put that into your measuring spoon there that I have ready. So we're going to need about 1 tablespoon of zest. I have some pretty big lemons today. They were beautiful at the store. You know, it makes me crazy to pay 79 cents per lemon. That's what I pay in my store. I don't know how much you pay at yours, but I think that's pretty expensive, but they are beautiful lemons, so I'm not feeling too bad about it. They were big and they were very juicy, and they were perfect for zesting. Very nice, what do you call it? Yes, the zest itself. That's what I'm trying to say. If I could talk today. So very fresh, and that's what I saw with these lemons. So I'm doing the same thing. You know, I'm trying to get the back. That's why I was showing it to you there. There's always some stuck to the back of the zester, which is one of the best things you can have in a kitchen. And now I'm trying to measure it up, put it into 1 tablespoon of zest is what you need for that size baking dish and for this much filling. So the zest just gives it some extra lemon flavor without changing the liquid to solid ratio in the recipe. So that's one way to get a lot of lemon flavor into your recipe without changing that ratio, because that can be hard to maneuver. Now I'm going to start squeezing the lemons using the lemon juicer there, or the citrus juicer. And I have an electric one, but you don't need that. You can just use a handheld one. That's perfectly fine. It's going to take me about 2 lemons. Like I said, these are large ones to get half a cup of juice. And that's one of the best appliances that I've ever bought, seriously, because we love freshly squeezed orange juice at our house. So I used to use this a lot when my son was a little younger, and his snack every afternoon was freshly baked muffins and freshly squeezed orange juice. He used to love that coming home from school. So I thought it was time to invest in an electric juicer, and saved my hands and my arms. So that's when I got that. But it still comes in handy when I make lemon bars. So you can see I am measuring everything. If you're not used to baking, if you're only used to cooking, that's something that you really need to get used to. Measure your ingredients. And I have liquid measuring cups for liquids, and I have solid measuring cups for solids. So that's something else that you need to pay attention to. If you're measuring flour, you use a solid measuring cup. If you're measuring a liquid like the lemon juice, make sure it's one of those glass measuring cups with a spout. That's how you know the difference. And if you're an experienced baker, you know all of this. I know you know this, but now I'm just showing you that it's half a cup. So I'm going to move on, clean up a little bit, and do the filling next. So I am using large eggs here. You can also use extra large. You'll just have the bars set up a little more. So I'm using large eggs here, and I'm using 4 of them. They were a good size. So in baking, all of these things make a difference. The temperature of your ingredients makes a difference. So these are room temperature eggs. That makes for better baking, things set up better. And this is 1.5 cups of sugar to the 4 eggs. And if you double this recipe, you can use 7 eggs instead of 8. I think you can get away with that. Do 8 if you'd like. It's not going to change it that much. And 3 cups of sugar. But what I'm doing here for half a batch in the 8-inch or 9-inch baking pan, I'm using 4 eggs and 1.5 cups of sugar. So now I'm adding the 1 tablespoon of lemon zest, And make sure you incorporate these well, along with the half a cup of lemon juice, freshly squeezed. Very important. I hate to sound like a snob, but it's true. Don't get the stuff that comes in the bottle from the grocery store. If you're going to make lemon bars, you really need to use fresh lemons. So you spend a little bit more, but you get what you pay for. You get a lot of great flavor and fresh flavor in your baked goods. And now I'm adding 1 cup of flour. So that might be half a cup. I will check my recipe later, but it might be half a cup. I think 1 cup is for the doubled recipe. I will actually put both in the description for the 9x13 size baking pan as well as the 8x8 inch. So if you need to double this recipe, if you have a larger group to feed, you have both in the description box below. So I will add both ratios for you, so that makes it easier. So now you just get your warm crust. As you can see there, it's still a little warm, so I'm protecting my hand there. But so you just pour the filling into the baking pan. It's easy to do, and you can see that I'm scraping it all out. I don't like to leave anything in pans. That's money right there. So I don't want to, wash it down the drain. So I make sure I get everything out. And then I'm going to put it in a 350 degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. I start checking at about 30. You want the center to be a tiny bit jiggly, but you can see that it's set. And you will see this as you're looking at it in the oven. You will be able to tell. So you will be able to tell definitely when you open the oven and you start checking after 30 minutes. And that's what it looks like when it's ready. It looks a little golden, and then I let it rest for it takes about 1 to 2 hours for it to come to full room temperature. And then after that, I like to leave it in the refrigerator for maybe about an hour or two before I cut into it and try to cut it into bars. So that's what I do best, is to wait, and you have to do that when you have a baked good like that. And here's the final result after they've been cut, and I dusted them with some confectioner's sugar. And I really appreciate you being here. I hope you make these. They are delicious. This is a summer recipe. This is perfect for the 4th of July. If you're watching this before the holiday, make this. It's going to be delicious. I will give you all of the ratios that you need to make sure that it comes out perfect every time. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and thank you for being here. Bye.